nature. Really the hottest nigga, you gon' respect this lava. I'm shooting it if I pull it, boy, make sure you want this drama. I bring it to you like it's Law and Order SVU. Turn you to a vegetable, now you look good inside a soup. Family come from Bishopville, but I grew up in that Bronx Zoo where they shoot you dead in the street and then dance all on top of you. And I do what I gotta do.
Started. Please don't get me started. Started.
Listen, man. If you're in a gang, right, and you really care about your people, especially if you're in a black gang, like if you're a Blood Crip, GD, whatever, you know, and you really care about your people, you can see how much fuckery is in the minds and hearts of your fellow gang members and of y'all gang leaders. If you go to them and ask them, especially if you Blood or Crip, right? Hey, why can't we go back to how it was when these gangs were first created? And what I mean by that is, as legend has it, the Bloods and the Crips of Los Angeles were formed in order to protect the community, protect their hoods from the police that were preying upon them, you know, who were like taking advantage of the women, taking advantage of the kids, the extreme amount of police brutality that was going on. That's the reason why these gangs were made. These gangs were made in order to protect the community and maintain a status of unity amongst your fellow black men and women. Somehow, some way, they allowed it to be infiltrated by not only people who come from a Caucasian descent, but from their own people. And what would have been wise would be to figure out who those people were early on and decapitate them. It ended up not happening. And we all know that, of course, yeah, at some point, the government introduced crack into our communities. Heroin was before that. We all know this, but it's been half a century. And you gotta ask yourself, if you're in a gang, right? Whatever gang you have, especially if you represent the Bloods and the Crips, like the Bloods and Crips in LA, right? They gotta look at it from a standpoint of, when did the Bloods and Crips start? About 50 years ago? Right? No, yeah, about 40, 50 years ago, something like that, right? And when you look at it, the Bloods and Crips were only a positive thing for like what? The first couple years? So now after the first couple years where it was a positive movement created to take care of their own people, it became the total opposite and been the total opposite ever since. Like, if you a Blood and a Crip, right? And it's 2022, right? And Bloods and Crips been around. Mind you, I'm saying Bloods and Crips, but I'm talking about all gangs, and more specifically, all black gangs, because I'm a black man and I used to partake. And the reason why I'm emphasizing the Bloods and the Crips is because these are the two most known gangs in our black communities with the most numbers, okay? Our entire warrior class, our own military that could have been utilized more efficiently, belongs to Bloods, Crips, GDs, you know, the Vice Lords and all these other gangs, you know. And pretty much when gangs started back in the day, it was to protect their community. But imagine another 50 years goes by, right? And the Bloods and Crips are still around, right? Imagine how crazy it would be if the Bloods and Crips been around for 100 years, and for 90, 95 of those years, they were propagators of black genocide and black degeneracy. Imagine, like how are we supposed to feel, right, as a society? How are black men supposed to feel as a society if another 40, 50 years goes by and all the black gangs are exactly how they are right now? You know what I say? You know what I say? Just blow it all up. Just blow everybody up, man. Like, what are we doing, man? Like, you gotta ask your big homie, who's AKA your daddies, if you in a gang, right? Your big homie's your daddy. And mind you, I'm not saying this because these are personal attacks on people in gangs. I'm saying this as like, all black people are family, and I'm the older uncle in a sense who experienced a lot of the nonsense, realized it early, and got away from it before he got too involved. After, of course, you know, putting in his own amount of work on the block. Not saying I'm more gangster than the next dude. There's definitely more gangster dudes around than me. But someone who put in his own work in the street, put in his own work in jail, right? No smut on his name, didn't rat, came home and continued to be a stand-up guy. I'm the uncle who's looking at his nephew and telling his nephew, like, yo, listen, stop acting stupid, man. You could be doing way more. You could be of service to your community in a better way instead of being a cancer to your community. I'm indicative of that, you feel me? That's who I am. So I don't say this to bring the sensitive dudes out who just gonna be triggered when someone says, hey, the Bloods are doing dumb stuff. The Crips are doing dumb stuff. I'm the uncle, right, in a sense, who's like, yo, listen, hold yourself accountable like I did. Every black man has to hold himself accountable. And unfortunately, the black gangs in our communities, in our impoverished communities, they do not hold themselves accountable for anything. For anything. It's just black genocide every single day, man. And at the end of the day, we losing our humanity. Like they gotta get it together now. We live in an era where we getting more sensitized, more desensitized to everything. Our kids are growing up. They on social media all day. They rarely are having proper, you know, like social skills being instilled in them. They rarely are being taught how to handle their emotions. You know what I'm saying? Like the sensitive gang members that we have now, who are rushed to kill someone they have a disagreement with, or kill someone over a female, right? It's going to be 10 times worse in another 10, 20 years, because these kids, they're like, we're really breeding a bunch of narcissists and sociopaths. They haven't been brought up to rationalize the same way and look at things the same way as they're supposed to. And how come there's no large, major, no, like, you gotta ask yourself, right? How come there's no very big, popular gang leader, right? Who used to do a whole lot of bad things in the street, right? Who is coming out now in 2022 saying, hey, listen, we need to stop this. All the big homies of these gangs, you know, they collect ties. Some of them order hits out on people still. Why there's no congregation amongst, like, why none of the big homies and the top generals is coming together and saying, hey, listen, our community is full of a bunch of idiots who we have the most control over. Why don't we, I don't know, put some money together and start a mentoring program Why don't we put some money together, right? And put some of the youth from our communities through school, help them learn some trades and stuff like that? Why is none of that going on? Why? Because all of our gang leaders today are some of the most selfish and disrespectful niggas that ever existed. They selfish, they greedy, and they're selfish and they're greedy. And they don't have too much education to even teach anybody. They don't. And the only thing they can teach your kid, your young son, right, is how to hurt his own people, use and manipulate his own people. And the only thing they can teach your daughter is just how to get used to dealing with people like that, right? And we in this perpetual maze of stupidity. Fathers going to jail, mothers having to raise the kids alone. We understand people don't stay together, but if you're a gangbanger and you fighting in the street, you taking people's lives, you can't even be separated from your baby mother, but still in your kids' lives because you're in jail. Oh, let's not mention the fact that every major gang leader who's in jail, right, for over 20 years, for sure is partaking in acts of the alternative nature with other men in jail. Exchanging safety for booty, if you will, right? But if you're in the gang, right, and you one of the younger homies, go ahead and ask your big homie, how come nobody wants to go back to how it was when the gang was created? When the gang's number one motive was to educate the youth and take care of the youth, right? Right? And be real leaders. Peace.